I'd like to welcome everybody to the September meeting of the Golf Committee, and I'd like to call to order at this time. Darrell has an introduction to make.
I do. I got a young gentleman over there that has joined our team, and we're super excited to have him on the golf operation team. Mr. Trevor, could you step up and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and hopefully and the membership don't scare him off in the next year or 5 years. We'll see how it goes, but welcome, Trevor.
As Darrell said, my name is Trevor Brunson. I'm from just down the road in Rogers. I went to school at Arkansas Tech, where I also played college golf there for 4 years. But I'm just very excited to be here, excited to be able to stay in the golf industry, and looking forward to meeting all of you. I know I've met a few of you already, but looking forward to meeting everyone. So thank you, guys.
Welcome, Trevor.
What are Trevor's responsibilities?
He's doing all your job, Gary. No, he's Tom's on he's basically the right-hand man. He is his supervisor in golf operations. So tee times, tee sheets, building the new programs, Golf Genius. He comes in, he's got some from ASGA, did an intern with the ASGA. So that's where I met him, one of the tournaments and the course ratings. So once I saw his work ethic and where he was, I'm like, we need him on the board of our staff for future. And we got him, so we're excited to have him. That's what he's going to be. He's going to be in that office pretty much all the time, but I'm also getting him out on the property, so you'll see him everywhere. Okay?
Welcome, Trevor.
I had a brief interaction with Trevor yesterday. You couldn't pick. Oh, I'm sorry. I had a brief interaction with Trevor yesterday. Couldn't have picked a better guy. I really think you hit a home run with this one. And by the way, I'm now his agent, so we're looking for a raise.
I'm going to add one more thing, too, and he's a heck of a golfer. They won the NCAA Division II championships when he was there. So if you need him on a scramble team, there is a fee involved, so we'll go from there.
Talk to his agent.
We're not giving any money to the POA for him.
Okay, we welcome you, and we hope you're here for a long time with us. Approval of the August minutes, I need a motion to accept. Second. Any discussion? Any corrections or additions? Do a fine job, son. Do a fine job. Thank you very much. All those accepting? Yes. Any opposed? No. Okay. Golf facility reviews. We have the new form. I'd like you to use the new form if you would, please. Where are we going to start? Go ahead. Of course.
Kingswood and Birchdale was out there on Monday, and pro shop experience. The guys are always friendly. They're a good atmosphere and a great selection of merchandise. The golf carts, neat and clean, easy access. No driving range there, so that doesn't apply. And the overall golf experience, I think, is very enjoyable from start to finish.
Good. So no problems.
Scottsdale?
Yes.
I played there twice this week, and it couldn't be in better shape. The pro shop people, Megan and her staff, do a fantastic job. They're friendly, they're efficient. In terms of the golf carts, I don't know who ordered these, but they're great golf carts. We love them. They even go faster uphill than they do down, and I don't know how that works, but it's pretty good. And to have the little plug-in for your phones and other things is another addition. And the ones at Scottsdale are in great shape. Pencils are there, scorecards are there. They do a great job with that. Driving range is very well maintained. They do a good job. I would like to see, and it's not their fault, I would like to see us do a better job of putting sand or something in the divots on the driving range to help out the staff. That's on the golfers, not on them. They do a good job. The balls are really good. They're awesome. Everything is good there. And as far as overall, awesome. Couldn't be a better experience.
Mike?
At Dogwood Hills, I played there on the 1st of September and then the 9th as well. First, let me just say it's like everything out here. It's in excellent shape. Dogwood Hills is in beautiful shape. Really no complaints of anything. Everything, pro shop experience, carts. Of course, the driving range at Dogwood Hills is in great shape with the nets and all. But overall experience was great. A little slow out there at times, but it spread out a little bit once you got back to the farm. And so it was all good. So no complaints. Everything was great.
Good. And we're back here to Jerry.
Highlands, the Highlands Golf Course is in excellent shape. The pro shop, everything, those guys, great. The whole staff out there is good. Never had a complaint from anybody on anything there. Golf carts, the same as Dave talked about, awesome. We really appreciate what's there. The driving range, Alex and I talked about a couple of little things that just people had brought up to me about it, and one was the safety on the tee box on number 10 from the driving range, and we talked about, not everybody shanks one, but they occasionally hit it over the red tee box there, and I brought that to his attention, and he's looking into it, make sure everything's okay there. And we talked about sand buckets on the range and so forth, and there are reasons for not there at this time, and everything was good there. The range, I really like the way we did the range now with the mats and everything. I think that's going to help a lot. The overall golf experience, Alex and I talked about a couple of things that improved is the lights that got replaced. Finally, we got lights in the parking lot and that kind of thing that were out, and those were great. And I did mention the ball marks on the greens. We talked about that with that, and there's some things that have been being done with that. But all in all, everything was great. I appreciate all the work that they do out there.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
And I like the pizza.
I think that, you know, the overall experiences that we're having in all of our courses, especially with the pro shops, the merchandise, Leslie Terry have done a great job at providing selection, sizes, and opportunities to buy different things. So, you know, hats off to Leslie for what she's been doing. So the pro shop has been, if you walk through it, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, in the country club, they've really got a nice selection of material. And the golf course, like Dave said, are in great running condition. They're a welcome addition to the fleet. We don't have a driving range here, but you know, Tanyard is close by. The only thing on the golf is good. I mean, the greens we know is a problem here at the country club, but I'm sure it's under able hands to get that fixed. So other than that, everything's going well.
Sheila, thank you.
Tanyard Creek, I had a nice conversation with Gary. Oh, sorry. I had a nice conversation with Gary at Tanyard Creek. Pro shop experience was wonderful. He was very friendly and outgoing. We had a lovely visit. Obviously, golf carts are not an issue at Tanyard Creek. The driving range, I have to preface this comment with the fact that I took up 36 in the spring, in the very early spring. And compared to the very early spring, it was outstanding. There was grass to hit off of, and they switch it so that there's 4 days of mats and 3 days of grass, which I think is just awesome because it was very difficult to really get a feel for what you were going to do on the golf course from a mat, very honestly. So I think that is very, very good at this point. I think there's an opportunity to make the entire experience at Tanyard better by improving the surface because there's a lot of dirt and a lot of rocks and stuff. So I think a whole bunch of grass would do huge for the Tanyard Creek. But overall, the experience was very good, and I appreciated his conversation. Thank you.
It appears that since yesterday was Thank Your Superintendent's Day, that everybody here has been very, very pleased with everything the superintendents have been doing and their whole teams have done. And it's been a very trying year, as we know, Keith, and I just don't think that anybody could step up any further than your whole crew can. And they've done an excellent job, and they're very well appreciated, as you guys are too, as well. And Darryl, the same with you in-house.
Bruce, can I make a comment about the course, especially the driving range and par 3 holes? I got it on. I noticed that we don't have the sand buckets on the practice tees. Did we take those out for a reason? There were none on Highlands, and there's none on Tanyard.
I am gonna guess that the ones that we had practice buckets on before were taken off in COVID, and they never got put back. I've made a note.
Okay. The other thing is, some of the sand buckets that, as we were doing divot fixing last night at Highlands, I noticed on the par threes, the buckets are in very bad shape. I mean, they're leaking. I mean, the bucket 11, half the sand is coming out the sides of it. I wonder, we should either repair or replace some of the buckets that we have out there. Just a
Every
comment.
fall in the winter, we do that. So by the end of the year, they may get a little bit run down, for the lack of a better word. So we have that on the agenda as well. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is the first time using the new form. Any tweaking we need to do, or it appears that it's in pretty tight and it does the purpose that we're looking for? It represents the player. Any tweaking? Did a good job, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, staff reports. Keith, you're up.
Okay, we'll start with the greens aeration schedules for all the Bentgrass courses start the week of September 19th.
Next week.
Yep, so it's posted on the webpage. I will put out a little blurb about it in this Friday's golf update on the order of how it's done. I would anticipate a lot of play at Scottsdale, be my guess. So maybe get your tee time early. To your point about the greens here, a lot of the small areas have already recovered just due to weather and some of the other things we're doing. Just a reminder, and I don't think you were here last month, that after we aerify, then we'll go in and address those bigger areas, because if we did it now, we couldn't keep track of it. Now the weather's broke, we'll have the holes punched, and we'll proceed October 1 on those repairs. So that's where we stand on that. We have our fall pre-emerge stuff has gone down on a lot of the golf courses. It's been a challenge this year, as it always is, to work around golf, because I'm hoping, because the courses are fun to play, we have a lot more golf than we've had in a long time, so that's a good problem to have. We're just trying to figure out how to work around it, and in addition to not having somebody that can go out and do that early in the morning when they're all doing setup, because we're still, we don't have, I bet, well, now the seasonal have fallen off. We don't have 6 people at any one golf course any one day right now. So it's challenging at best. So we're working on that as well. Maybe we're going to move around, just so you know, on the budget deal. We may start seasonal a little later, because it seems to be a bigger problem in the fall than it is in April. So we'd always put them on in April because of verification, but we can work around verification with other people and maybe bring in the seasonal people a little later, so we can carry them through the month of September into October, because that's really the best months to play golf. Absolutely. I would say. So we're going to look at that as we do our budgeting this year and where we put personnel. So that's where we are on that. On project status, the red tee box project is completed at Highlands. I think the guy that came out and did that work, it's the same contractor we've used for the bunker liners and the tees here. They have 3 different foremen. I've used all of them. This guy has a real good niche. He's great at the tee box work. He's a little more of a challenge to work with than some of the other ones. He's kind of have to just take what he says and go on down the road and get it done, which he did. I think he did an excellent job, because he actually worked on a couple that were pretty hard. Number one is not an easy one to fix, and it's, in my opinion, a lot better. And then the new tees that we're going to have, that one is one. Because it was slope before, but what we've done is no steeper of a slope, it's a longer run, so it's actually safer for us equipment-wise. So that's the dirt work they're doing. Only 2 guys here did the dirt work in about 7 days of work. Then they brought in 4 more people to do the sod work. So let's see what the other pictures I put up here. Okay, that's one that's leveled, ready for sod. You can see the stakes there. That is the corner of the level. What we shot for was 20 yards wide, 30 feet long for the square footage, which is double on all the ones we did. Plus we leveled them. So we won't mow them square like that, but by going that way, you get your ability to make that turn is a little better without the corners falling off like they wood, yes, ma'am. 20 yards or 20 feet? 20 yards.
Left to right?
Yeah, down all the way bottom. The top is probably 30 feet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's feet on the top. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that very well, so. But it's probably double what we had, for sure, and it's level. They laser leveled them, did a lot of handwork. The other thing I liked about these guys, what happens when you build tees, a lot of times they get them level, but they don't spend the time to pack the material, so it settles. He never put more than an inch down, then he watered it, then he packed it. He did that all the way up. So I feel really confident that these are gonna hold their integrity for quite some time. So I think it demonstrates what we can do. The thing that, there's another one that you can see that we did. That one I think is 4. Yep. And we moved it a little bit left because we realigned some of them with the fairway as well. He wanted to, he knows what he's doing on golf courses because you've got the tees behind it and he's like, we need to line them up with those. I said, those are not going the right direction, so we're starting over on the front and moving backwards. So just do this. So we got them lined up. So actually the red tees are the best tees out here, the ones we did. So there's that one. That is the new tee we built on number 8 on the right side. I really think that one's going to be the most popular because, one, it's way bigger. The one that exists on the left side of 8 is in the way from the ones behind. It looks right at our irrigation controller. So, but we leveled the other one too, and we just leveled the other one and put new sod on it as well, because we're going to have to figure out the cart traffic. We're going to allow people to use that and find out where the cart trail needs to be and then do something with the cart trail down the road for over there. So we kept the other one for now. For when we're on the path, we'll use the one by the path. That is the reason we kept that one for now. So that's what we, yeah, they're both available. Well, yeah, I mean, it sends you down the fairway instead of off, and you don't have to worry about that controller in front of you. And you can't see where your ball lands from the other one. You can see where your ball lands unless you hit it as far as some other ladies do, and it's down the hill, but we didn't build it that high. But you can see where you're going. So that's the guy working on it from the other angle. So that was all new soil. So that, we spent about $10,000 on topsoil that we weren't going to spend anything when we originally did the budget because, one, we had some topsoil that got used since 2021, so we had to get new. And then we decided to build this one. We weren't going to build one. We were just going to repair the other one, and we got to looking at spending all that money to do that on the one that's really not in the right place. We felt it made more sense to go ahead and build one over here, and that's what we did.
On the question of the tees, I noticed that in Highlands, on the tees that you've done, that there's some areas where the side is not butted up real closely to it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the process that we have to go through now. We fill seams, we top dress, we roll, we do all of that.
Yeah.
I don't worry too much about how close they get because they're butted up, but we take care of that. That's what we did on the collars.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was wondering.
We do the same thing. That is not the reason that we won't be playing on these until April of next year probably though. The reason we're not going to play on these because we're late in the year. We've already had 40-degree mornings. If we scalp that top down to tee height, that would not be good going into the winter. So we will come out in the spring and we're protecting them that way. And there'll be something in the connections for all of y'all that live out here to get the connections in it. It talks a little bit about what we did and why we're doing that. So people but if they ask you, that's the reason we're not going to try to get on it. The grass probably would be pegged down, but we can't scalp it down. Don't think that's a good idea. We're not going to do that. Yeah, going into the winter.
But Keith, but even in April, you won't be cutting them short. You said they'll be ready.
No, we'll be able to take them down pretty close in April because after the winter, that most of that on top is drawn. It depends on the kind of winter we have on how quick we're going to do that.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, I can't tell you exactly what day and when and what all we're going to do because, as we all know, a lot of things happen between now and April 1st. That's the front view of it right there. And the other thing that I like about the way he did the work, that's the old one. All we did was level it. We got a little more space to the side. All of these have a 1% slope front to back away from the path so that they drain. So 1%, if you could tell me, I would, a lot of times when I have these, I say it's a 1%, you come and tell me which way you think it is, because a lot of people think 1%, I'm gonna know. You're not gonna know, compared to our 10% stuff that we have in some of these, right? Or don't. So, you know, I like the way the tees ended up too. The other thing he did, a lot of the red tees that were put in out here, for whatever reason, a lot of it didn't have the money to do it or whatever it was just like a little mound stuck out there. They really did not look like it belonged. These look a lot more like they are part of the golf course. And that's the kind of work we can get done. Those tees right there, that cost us about $10,000 a tee. That's what it costs to do that right now, just so you have a reference. Per tee on those tees. So if you think about the white tees that are twice that, the numbers elevate quickly if you do them like this. If you do them during a renovation, like we get around to redoing Country Club Just Say, then you do all of that work with it and you get a much better price because you're coming out to do the work. An advantage of doing it this way, when you do big construction, you got to really stay after them because they get in a hurry. So you have to, there's a little more watch them and be sure they get it right. So that's the story on the tee boxes. Really happy the way they turned out. Sorry it took so long. I had a couple people mention to me it would have been nice if we got it done early in the year. I said it would have been better if we got done in April of 2021 when we originally planned on doing it. However, we feel fortunate we got the contractor out here and got it done. So we're pleased with the work. And I think next spring, the people who play that tee will be pleased. And I think it's important that we got more space because more and more people are playing on those tees. We need to spend more effort, in my opinion, on the whites and forward tees, red, gold, whatever that is. So anything up in front of the whites, so I don't get in trouble by saying colors. And then the other thing is, and they're going to talk, they didn't mention it, but I know we had a divot day at Highlands. That's what this material is. It was brought up here a couple months ago of green sand. You can see some black spots in here. That's a little bit of organic fertilizer. Then there's a humic acid that's mixed on all the sand. So I'll pass that around when you look at it because this is really cool. And then when we get down to here into old business, I'm going to have some news for you that's kind of shocking actually when I calculated it out. So that is my report.
A question about tee height. Are you leaving the tees grow longer right now than normal? Because they're pretty
All of the
long.
Bermuda grass gets taken up in height starting around August the 15th,
Okay.
except for Burksdale because we're mowing that at winter height anyway. But the rest of them go up from a ½ inch to sometimes up to 3/4 depending on the situation.
That's the tees and fairways and all.
Right. Now, some of the tees may appear like they're taller than that, but like we just use here for an example, with our 4-man crew that we have right now, tees might only get mowed twice a week instead of the normal 3 days a week. So they're gonna, if we mow on Monday and you play on Wednesday, we don't mow to Thursday, they're a little taller than normal.
Any questions for Keith? Thank you, Keith, we appreciate it. Darrell, you're up.
All right, I'm gonna go off the agenda. I didn't get all my stuff in. Stuff kept popping up, and I got Mr. Clay there in a little bit. I'm gonna catch up, but I'm gonna go through the rounds just real quickly. August rounds finished at 23,006. If you can believe, that's 1,720 over last year's August. With last year's August was record-setting. We did it again this year, and we had a lot of heat out there. So record rounds is phenomenal, and it gets down to our courses have had more rounds than they've seen in a long time, and we had extremely hot temperatures. You know, I remember seeing Greg at 11:30, his crew out there. I'd be on the range giving a lesson around 7:30 in the evening, and Greg's still out there working, getting those greens cool, making them wet, because that's how you keep the greens alive in the heat. And we had maximum number of rounds for August. So kudos to the team. That's phenomenal. And once again, it gets back to we got to pitch marks in July and August and do our due diligence because the greens are softer. And people have been moaning to me and saying that there's so many pitch marks, you know, where's that, where? It's because they're soft. You know, you can hit a 50-yard shot, you can hit a 20-yard shot in now, and it will tear them up in the front of the green. So walk to the front and fix it. Don't think it just bounces out of it. It doesn't. It actually tears them up a little bit. And with those rounds reports that we see right there, if you remember last month, we were down in rounds over last year. We are now up by 630. So we closed the gap. We are ahead year to date over last year. And last year was record setting, and we're going to keep going. Member rounds are down 5,400. Guest rounds are up by 6,000. So that in itself is phenomenal. And you can see when rounds are up, guess what else goes up? Range buckets. So range buckets are up year to date at 2,300. If you thought 66,000 last year was a record, we're going to beat that again. August was up 1,032 over last year. It's just those ranges, it brings people back to golf, and that's exciting. They go to range, hit balls. I met a guy out there 2 weeks ago. His dad passed away, and he went into Garage Found Clubs. He used to play high school golf, so he comes out and starts hitting a golf ball, and I went over and visited with him. I said, why don't you just do this, try this. He started hitting in the air. Saw him that evening, decided to go play 9 holes. The next evening, go play 9 holes. So that's where it starts, and it's a really good deal out there. And another thing, once again, our merchandise, we finished at 146% to budget. That is the 3rd month in a row that all pro shops have met their budget. That's awesome. So thanks to the membership for supporting the pro shop. Thanks to LT for getting the great product to sell, which is awesome. And it's a winning combination in golf right now. We just got to look after our golf courses. I always tell my kids when we go on the golf course, we want to leave it better than we found it. If we all had that adoption, we get out there and we fix a couple pitch marks, we rake a bunker a little better than when you hit it in there and you leave, guess what happens? You know, at 170 rounds of golf a day, if everybody would do that, Keith wouldn't have a job to do. I'm kidding. That would be nice, right?
I'm not worried about that.
But that's my course report as far as rounds go. Any questions on that before I deviate off my agenda real quick?
He brought it to my attention here. So we talked a little bit about sand buckets on driving range tees. This made me think of really what I need to tell you. We probably won't start putting them out there now on the tees that we oversee the front tee and not the back, because one, the seed will germinate in the bucket, and 2, we may get it on the back if somebody uses it by accident, so we wouldn't want to do that. So Highlands and Tenure won't have them put on this year. They'll be on in the summer. The other ones, we might go ahead and put out regular sand, but that would be the reason we wouldn't want to do it during the off season, because we would be better off mixing our sand and seed to fill divots once a week on the overseeded tees.
Is the grass not Bermuda on the practice tees?
Yes, but we're overseeding with ryegrass on one tee for the winter.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate that. That's a good point. I'm going to move on to something real quick, and then we're going to get to Mr. Clay up there. But AJGA was Labor Day weekend. People didn't realize how spectacular this event is that we held at Highlands. You got 72 of the top AJGA players that are qualified by stars that come across that play in this event, all the way from Arizona down to Texas. We had one from Florida, California, there was somebody as well, and these kids come in. Our qualifier round, we had 71 players for 6 spots. That was on Thursday. So you got 71 kids out there playing in the qualifier for 6 spots to be able to play in that weekend tournament. I mean, it is crazy how good it is. I love it. I got goosebumps talking about it. And it's not done for certain people. You got Alex and his staff. You got Ruth over here, and the volunteers speak for themselves. I've got a few cards I want to read out here, but I was around all weekend, running around, visiting with people. And all the parents, I spoke with every single parent, and they can't believe the volunteers we had and the community that we have around here. Like, this is awesome. These kids feel like they're on a tour, a professional golf tour. They got spotters, they got team marshals, and they're also nice. And they're like, yeah, our members are nice right now. This is great. And it was really cool. And thank you, Ruth. I mean, Ruth works her booty off to get
Obviously
everybody.
not.
She goes around with chocolates, she visits with them all.
I bribe them.
She barks orders, and the group responds. And I want to thank the community and my team, Alex, and things that I get cards from everybody. So Jeff Maggart's son won it. Jake Maggart, that's Jeff Maggart's son, who plays on the Champions Tour. And he says, this is one of the most well-organized tournaments, greatest course. It's awesome. It challenges us on all fields. And he won with a 12 under. On the final day, he tied the course record from the black at 8 under. Phenomenal round. And to watch Jeff hand his son the trophy, he has a major winner on tour, handed, and he has a little tear in his eye. It was really cool. I mean, it really was.
About 17 he is.
Yeah, he's 17, he's
Yeah.
a senior. He has not committed to any colleges yet. Here's another one from the lady that won. She shot 8 under, and gentlemen, it's from the yellow tee boxes on Highlands, so it's pretty solid. 3 days of golf. Thank you for helping organize this amazing event. It's been an awesome event, and the people that are around and the volunteers are superb and super helpful. Love to come back to this. So it's absolutely phenomenal. Here's one that has actually committed to the Razorbacks. We had a lot of college coaches out there that week walking around, checking it. So they come in because they knew the course was tough. And it's top 72 players. So they're going around. But you can see the kids that have committed because they're allowed to, have the head cover of the school that they're committed to. Well, this young lady had Razorback stuff on. The last day she had the hog shirt on and everything. And she's got to learn to call the hogs. She's got to figure that out next spring. But Miss Abby wrote this. Thank you for everything. You've done it so well to make a great event as awesome. She's kind of lost a little bit. Anyway, we feel that we're wanted and welcome at this place, which is so different to most of the events that I've traveled to all over the country. That speaks for itself. Feel welcome. The course is awesome. Greg does a great job, and I'm looking forward to coming back and playing it when I'm at the U of A next year, because it will challenge me in all aspects of my game. So right there, those are just a few cards. I've got about 80 of them. Ruth's got some, Alex has got some. These kids do a great job. So with that said, I want to say thank you for letting us host the AJGA on Labor Day weekend, and they're really committed. They want to come back for next year. So we're ready to have them back next year on probably the same weekend. It works. It's a morning, and Ruth is ready to get her troops together again.
We had 82 volunteers over 5 days. We had one person got sick one day, and 3 people filled in, substituted for her. So we were slow in getting them. I was concerned in getting them, but once we had them, everybody showed, everybody did exactly. We've had beautiful weather. We had a beautiful week, and people really appreciated the generosity that the kids were willing to thank them and talk to them and visit with them, because we tried to stay away from that because we don't want them too chit-chatty, because the kids are playing golf. But the kids felt with grandparents, and I said, that's exactly what we have. People who miss their grandkids are here for you. So it made a big difference.
I also want to give a shout out to Gary. He got homes and gave up his home, and he wasn't even there, to the AJGA crew. So they come in on a limited budget and they're looking for places to stay. So we got housing provided by Gary, gets his troops together, and I want to thank you. By the way, we didn't trash your house too bad that night that you were gone. We had a big party, it was fun. So no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm moving on real quick, talking about junior golf. It's not on the agenda. We have 4A districts coming up at Highlands. 4A districts, we got 9 schools coming in on Monday, and we are going to be playing in that. And with that said, Mr. Clay over there from the Friends of Highlands has really helped us out, because to host a 4A district, you've got to have certain guidelines, and he's got something he wants to help us host this event again this year. So Mr. Clay, the microphone's yours.
All right, I think everyone knows what the Friends of Highlands is. It's a group that works to keep the aesthetics of the course together. So we work one tournament a year, we make some money from that, and then we put it back into the golf course and now to junior golf. So last year we funded some things, and this year we're going to fund a portion of the meal for the tournament next week, and we're keeping approximately the same amount for another event in the spring. So we will be back with a donation then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that's a big thing for the 4A to come in, to host it at Highlands. One, is going to test them. Two, some of the schools that come in are a lot smaller. Some of them don't even have a golf course close to them. They drive a little bit. So hosting at Highlands, when they come into Highlands, I promise you, they go, wow, this place is awesome. It's got a range, it's got golf carts that work, clean, good greens, and Greg and Alex's crew, we're ready to go on Monday. With that said, I'm looking for monitors. What a monitor does is they drive in a cart, they don't have to walk, they drive in a cart and they score for the group. I'm looking for 5 more monitors for Monday from 8 o'clock to around 3:30. You will get lunch. So if anybody's interested, reach out to me after this meeting or shoot me an email tomorrow. I'm just lacking 5. We're getting close. I just need 16 for the day. So that's all I've got on that aspect. It's been a great year and let's continue. That's all I got.
Questions for Darrell? If not, we'll move along. Alex, tournaments?
Okay. So just like our rounds have been up in August, all of our events in August were up as well. Since our last meeting, we had the Parent-Child Championship over at Dogwood. Now, this was the 3rd year that we've hosted that. It has gone up in participation each of the last years. So we were at 20 juniors for that, and I'm happy with the way that's been built. Hopefully next year I'll have to have it an 18-hole event instead of just a 9-hole event. So we're looking up on that one. We had our men's club championship and senior men's club championship at Highlands in the middle of August. We had 87 players for both of those events, which is up from 58 in 2021. So really good participation for that. I'd like to congratulate our men's club champion for 2022, Mark Chambers, and our 2022 senior men's club champion, Kurt Reither, back-to-back winner for Kurt. So congratulations to those guys. Our prostate cancer tournament is this Saturday. We've got 2 courses worth. We've got 43 teams at the moment. That's at Kingswood and Dogwood. So there's still some room to sign up. I'll take sign-ups all the way until Saturday morning if I can take more teams just to raise some money for prostate cancer research. So if anybody knows of anybody that would like to play, I think I even have room for a single or maybe a twosome. If you don't have a whole team, let me know and I can try to squeeze you in with somebody else that might be needing a player or two. And then after that, we've got the Rally and Peak coming up in October. Plenty of time to sign up for that. That's on the 11th of October, I believe. Junior golf season is wrapping up. We've gotten completed with all of our camp seasons. Gavin has completed the PGA Junior League. I think they just had their championship. It was in Little Rock, I think, here in the last few weeks. And the Operation 36 that we started up this year, thanks to Futures Cup, we'll be wrapping that up at the end of October. So all is really well. We've had a really good junior golf season, and we're looking forward to just keeping it ramped up for next year. Other than that, October is generally a time of year that Darrell and I will sit together and kind of talk about 2023 calendar and see what we want to do and things like that, but that'll be coming up here in the next couple of months. All right.
So most of the tournaments this year were up.
I would say most of them, yes. I don't have exact figures,
Yeah.
but there might have been a couple that were down,
That's
but
okay.
only a group or two
Yeah.
down. So
So that's
good
great.
year so far.
A couple of meetings ago, we talked about adding, or thinking about adding a member guest. Is that going to be in the discussions with you and the?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's all sit together and see what we can come up with.
So that's where we do it. We sit down when the season's over, we get the winter groups going, and we kind of look at the availability, look what we got going on, and kind of go from there. And that's when we will discuss new tournaments, what worked, what didn't work, and all the pros are involved. The team gets together. We look at results. We look at what we did 12 years ago, and what will work, and what can we do new. So it's kind of where we are.
Yeah, we'll have to get all our brains behind that one.
We
It would
did
have to be large.
do a member guest, so I will pull the data that we had from our member guests. That would have been 7 years ago, if I remember right, we did one. We did it for 2 years and it kind of faded out, so we did it. So I'll pull those numbers again and see who's around and we'll go from there.
Any other questions for Alex? If not, moving along, Mr. Judson is at conference, so he's not with us today. So that moves us into the board liaisons.
I just have one comment, and that's building on Darrell's comment about the wonderful getting it wrong, right?
GA.
AJGA. always get that wrong, tournament. Well done. Keith and Daryl did an excellent job, but I wanted to talk about Ruth. I was one of the 72 volunteers, and I want to just reiterate your comments, Daryl, that, she makes you feel special when you volunteer. I didn't do much of anything, but she made sure that I felt special. Again, bringing the candy, making sure you're okay, you have enough to drink, and then all the helpers who help the helpers. So that is just world-class leadership for the volunteers. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
They're just solidifying your job for the next decade.
Well, that's questionable. Janet Edwards with Mars Candy provides candy for us. And so that's where we get it. And she did a good job this year and had some extra for us. So we had it for both tournaments. We hadn't had it for this one last year, but we did for both, so. Comments, questions?
I'll just make a comment. Keith, when you do the connections, are you going to talk about the red tee boxes won't be playable till the spring? Will that be communicated so people will know?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jason?
I'm good, thank you.
Well, thank you. We kind of knew that. Comments from the public? Were there any emails or anything addressed? And we're going to talk to Clay here in just a few minutes. Yeah.
I don't have an email, but I received comments. I'm sorry. I don't have an email, but I've had comments recently from players, from people that use the golf courses. And there are several things that seem to be consistent. Today I was over at Tanyard when I did my report, and they have hot water in their bathroom. And at the Highlands, there's no hot water in the bathroom. At Scottsdale, there's no hot water in the bathroom. And at the Country Club, there's no hot water in this bathroom over here. I can't talk about the ones on the course because I haven't played this course for quite a while. But it's really disturbing to not be able to wash your hands with warm water. I mean, it is freezing cold water. So that's comment number one. The other is the conditions of the cleanliness of the bathrooms. On the course, primarily, but supplies in the golf course, in the bathrooms on the golf course, as well as in the pro shops. Bathroom supplies, I made a couple of reports of bathroom supplies being a problem in the last week, and I reported the same thing twice, and so it went like 4 days, and it still wasn't corrected. And so those kinds of things send a different message to anybody using our facilities than I think we want to have. I think we want to have a message to anybody that uses our facilities, whether it be the golf courses or the pro shops or the restaurants or anything else. We need to have our best foot forward. Clean bathrooms, warm water, and so on and so forth, I think are really critical to making that impression. Thank you.
I'll reply on that. It's not done by the POA. It is sublet out because this is too many bathrooms to get done. With the play being up, you've just got to remember that if it might be cleaned at 11 o'clock, and if you have an 8 o'clock shotgun, it does have a little mess by the time the shotgun starts, and they do get to it every day. I will put a call in to the owner of the company and find out why we do not have supplies at those locations. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
I was curious, the hot water mostly on the ones on the course, or were you talking about ones inside buildings?
One issue is inside buildings. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. In buildings.
Okay.
When I compare Tanyard to the Highlands to the Country Club, I'm talking about in the building bathrooms, okay? And I've been in enough bathrooms on the golf courses to be able to say that I've never had hot water in a bathroom on the golf course.
No, they do not have, hot water heaters.
And I don't expect that so much on the golf course, but I certainly expect it in the building.
And there's not hot water in the building? There is here. Yeah.
There's hot water in the Highlands restrooms. They're just such low flow heads you have to sit there for like 5 minutes to get it warm. You can tell when you go into the men's bathroom and there's a big event and they've just been pouring for 10 minutes, it gets hot, but it takes a while.
How do you get them to pour for that long?
You just basically have somebody with their hands underneath them for 10 straight minutes.
Because I've tried it.
Yeah, it takes a while. They're so low flow in that restroom, it takes a long time to get to the hot water.
There's gotta be something.
And maybe we've covered this before, but I'll say on a plus side, the ice machines at the that is a huge hit with all the golfers, huge hit, huge.
That was one of the comments we heard from the juniors and the parents of ice on the course. They couldn't hardly believe it. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so, makes a difference. Okay, let's move down to, excuse me.
I was gonna ask Keith, what maintenance-wise or preventive maintenance is being done on those ice machines?
Say that again?
Is there any preventive maintenance being done on those ice machines? The condensers, evaporators getting dirty?
I think Daryl can address that because they go through the golf operations and then.
Yeah, we have Scott's his name, he checks him. He does get around to him. We do have issues when, like this summer, especially at 108 degrees, the ice machines don't keep up, and we had people complaining, but that is, we can't put a bigger one in, there's not enough room and stuff like that, but when people go by and fill up the cups, it takes, a shotgun by the time you get to the 12th team over there, and it's 108 degrees, it does struggle to keep up with
And
making it.
that's something that we've kind of had a conversation about possibly been looking into, putting some fans, redesigning those cabinets so that we're creating an airflow, because we put the cabinets in, I think that was to protect them from being stolen and tampered with. We're also limiting there, so that's creating even bigger heat issues. So if we can do something to get some air circulation going.
Jeff, I would love that. That's your specialty. That's what you do for business. So let's sidebar this. Let's get out there and see what we can do. Okay.
Yeah, I will say on the maintenance end, I know at the end of the year, my staff helps bring them in. And I do know Scott completely sanitizes them before they go back out. That I do know.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move to Keith, old business, the green sand for the divots.
Okay, this was brought up a couple of months ago, and I didn't really hear it as clearly as I should have the first time, so I heard it a little clearer the second time, so I did a little research. I'm familiar with green sand because I've used it in places I've been before, but I didn't really have an idea how much it would take because where I was before, we got 9,000 rounds in the year, and it was on Zoysia, and you don't take a lot of divots, okay? So what I did there and what we do here is not comparable. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna find out the material that has some of the fertilizer in it that we talked about. So we have that. We actually use this on greens, on thin areas, and where we'll use it when we do patching. As a matter of fact, you'll see it there. We've always done that. Just never occurred to me here to do it divots. So I thought I'm gonna have to investigate how this is gonna work, how much it would take, try to come up with a number. So the first thing I did is had Greg we bought a pallet to use, and I had Greg go, okay, fill up the buckets with a 50-pound, he could fill 10 buckets on the carts. Okay, that was the first thing we learned. We have, how many carts do we have, Daryl?
Buckets or the plastic?
Bottles.
Okay, bottles.
We've got
Okay.
385 carts.
So you need
30.
You need a lot of sand, okay? I did this math 3 times because it didn't appear to be correct when I did it. So I'm gonna go through the process here, what I did. So 15 bags, it's $14 a bag for the sand, okay? We figured we would do it for 6 months, between April into October. So I asked Daryl, I said, okay, we're gonna do it those 6 months. How often do you fill those in the cart?
Let me clarify where you're not doing them in the winter with green sand. If you've got a dormant Bermuda and you've got these green spots everywhere, it's gonna kind of look like a zebra going wrong, so.
Yeah. So what he told me that it ranges anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. So I used a 2.5 fudge figure. So 385 carts times 2 bottles per cart, so 770 bottles divided by 10 bottles with 1 bag, that's 77 bags of sand for one time. Now we're gonna multiply that 2.5 for a week, and then we're gonna multiply that by 26 weeks. The math comes out to that number is $70,000. This idea is the way I do it on golf course when Tom asks us for things, there's wants and there's needs. This would have to be a want because we can't figure out how to come up with $70,000. If you would give me $70,000 today, I would buy dried kill sand in bags and I'd do a better quality top dressing program on the greens all year long and you'd have better playability. That's where I would spend the money. So I don't think it's doable in that sense. And then if you do the tee buckets, I also had Greg do that. That's an additional 800 bags per course per year. So that's another $65,000. So it is, I was amazed when I actually did the cost and how much sand we used. Now, the second thing that kind of came to mind, this was kind of brought up because we felt like we could promote people to do more sand. And I think it probably would. But I got to say that if he has to fill that many buckets that often, there's a lot of sand already going out. So we're not doing an awful job of doing it in fairways. So I had to work through that 3 or 4 times to be sure I didn't have that number wrong because it sounded crazy to me.
How much does the sand cost currently? Because you're not factoring in what it already costs.
It probably, to fill those buckets, it probably cost me a couple $100.
Really?
A ton.
Oh, a ton.
Because we buy a ton of sand for $200. So yes, there is, I did not do that. I was just concentrating on what the cost of that was. So there is some offset, but I could go back and figure it out. I don't think it would help.
Is there any reason to do it on tees only, where we can maintain the tee a little better? Will it affect the maintainability of the tee?
Well, part of this with having, the reason we use it on the greens, because that fertilizer stuff does help the healing process, so it would help. But again, that's almost the same number to do tees.
The only
You
tees
wouldn't
you're-
have to-
the only tees you're really doing are par threes and short par
Right.
fours.
And that's how much we use on the par threes and par
But the
fours.
par 3 tees wouldn't merely be what Daryl puts in the carts. So there'd be a saving.
What I'm telling you is that Greg figured it out how often he filled those buckets this time. He dumped everything out, filled them to see how much it would take, and he said he does that at least every week or other week to do that. So he came up with a number of how many bags he would need, and it's still pretty close because people do more of it on the tee than they do in the fairway, even though it is the par threes.
What's the recoverability of a divot that's filled with sand versus a divot filled with this material?
I have no data that could tell you that. I'm sure it's a little better. I don't know how much better. I think one of the things that he felt that it would do would make people feel like they were doing something, maybe be more likely to put out sand, and I don't disagree with that either. That's why I kind of pointed out, I think we're doing a pretty decent job. We're not doing great, but we're doing pretty decent. A lot of sand goes out.
So you're looking at over 100,000.
Yeah, you know, if those numbers are right, and, you know, if we have a week that we don't have a lot of play, obviously you're not going to. I just had to pick a guess based on his input on how often he fills them. I do know exactly how much it takes to fill the bottles. I know exactly how many bottles we have, and I know how much it is a bag. So that part of it is pretty close. So, you know, you could, and it's expensive to buy it ready-made like that, where it's dry and workable, because I think you found it was easy to work with because it's in a bag, so.
Is there something we could just add to our sand and mix it in? That would be a lot cheaper option.
Oh, there are cheaper ways, but the problem becomes how are we gonna mix it?
Yeah.
And then how's he gonna store it?
So I drove around, I was actually just right place at the right time in the meeting, looking at new ranges to see what we're gonna do with Tanya Creek. So I was out on a work visit and I ran into a superintendent. And now these people have unlimited money, resources. And they've tried the mixer It causes a problem. You get inconsistent coloring, you get inconsistent mixing, and the poor guy that's doing it, when he gets home, he gets in trouble because he's all green and everything's nasty. So the best way to do it is to buy the bags. They went from buying the mixer and doing it in-house to going to the bags and picking it up. It might save you a couple of dollars by the time it's in, because you got to pay somebody to do it, and it takes hours and hours to mix it, get it dry, get it all certain. So that's kind of the answer. And we did multiple places that do green sand, and that's kind of where they've all gone from mixing it themselves to purchasing it, because they have big operations that can do it and get it delivered.
I will add that I think that overall, my staff feels like they have to fill the bottles of sand up a whole lot more than they used to fill up the boxes that we have on the cars. So we think a lot more sand is being used just by having the bottles instead of the boxes.
We did Highlands yesterday, filling all the divots and so forth, and from the tee box to the green, and actually filled a couple on the greens because there was a group ahead that wasn't fixing anything, so we fixed those. But it ends up being the only problem, and the places we did not see a lot of people fixing them was the tees, the holes that were cart path only. There's a few on Highlands, and I don't know if there's something we can put a little tag in the cart or something, take your bottle and your club when you go out there. I mean, something like that. Those were the worst fairways there. And really the tee boxes, other than the par threes and a couple of the short par fours, were not a big problem. I mean, because, there's not everybody plays the blues and the yellows, but the whites up is what we're talking about. And so, that's something to think about too. I mean, if we could do something, remind them, put a little sign up there or something, take your bottle and your club.
So just on that sign purpose, and I got Trevor in there, and so he can validate that I'm not just dreaming this up, but we got a sign that we're going to be putting in carts. As soon as the vote's over, we're encouraging people to vote. If you haven't voted yet, get out there and vote, because you'll see it in there that 3 for 3 more years, keep the prices the same. When that comes down, you'll see a sign up there that's got the basic 5, respect the golf course and points, and then that is on there. So Trevor, we're going to make sure that we highlight that as points, and that way people, our basic rules, because we do have a lot of guests paying that don't know the rules that we have out there, and we don't want to have signs on every golf course, but in the golf carts is where we're doing, and we're redoing it to catch their attention. So as soon as the vote's over, which is coming up in a couple weeks, we'll get that out there, and you'll see the change out there.
Just a side note, juniors were all given a vial of sand to take with them in their bag and fill the sand, the divots as they go. So they are starting young. They're teaching them at an early age to do it. That's their responsibility, and they owe it to the course to fill it. So I was pleased with how many were really taking care of that while they were there. So
I don't have a fully thought out thing on this, but I think maybe we had to start a discussion of starting I don't know what we call it, a champions group that says, we're going to go to the extra effort to take care of our courses, to do whatever we can. I mean, Clay's going to get up here and talk in just a second. There is no one that fills sand better than Clay in all of Bella Vista. He's terrific, and if we all kind of followed his example, we'd be better, fixing ball marks, doing that. I want to bring up, again, Daryl and I talked about it last year. We didn't implement it last year. I would like to start a group of people that are willing to do cart path only in the wintertime to help save our fairways and our rough. And if we could somehow form a group that says, yes, I want to come forward and help do extra over and above. I'll fix 2 or 3 ball marks. I'll put sand in 5 or 6 divots while I'm out there. I'll stay on the cart path in the wintertime. Things like that. And maybe there's some sort of an award we can give these people, a discount in the pro shop or something to reward them for going this extra effort. Again, it's not fully thought out, but I think it's something that's worth our attention and should be addressed.
Since you asked me, I did a little quick math on comparing, so it's $700 a ton for the green, and we're spending about $125 a ton for the white.
So it's 7 times as much?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for looking into it.
Any more on that? If not, we'll move to new business and Friends of the Highland. Clay, you're up. Can you pull a chair up, Clay, and join us?
You can just.
Or go ahead.
I do have a very, very small presentation.
That's good.
We talked about putting sand down last night. We had 20 people that showed up for that, volunteers, and we knocked it out in about an hour and a half. You know, so it does take work, but it went pretty fast, and it was a good group of people. Today's proposal, and Alex suggested that we bring this to the group here, is because they want equity between courses, and so they don't want the Friends of Highlands to making it too extravagant there and make Dogwood look bad or whatever. So that's why I'm bringing this here, is to try to get an approval for purchasing a slew of ball mark repair tools. And the whole idea here is that we have pock marks all over the greens right now. And that's not doing it justice, but you can see all sorts of scars. And this is number one at Highlands on the front side. The front half of that green is just terrible. And you are not making a 4-foot putt consistently on that green. The other thing is, you go to the green and there's fresh ball marks that haven't been repaired, and it really ticks people off. And it happens all the time. There's number 9, which is a short one. That's going to get beat up all the time, and you can just see craters there where people are not fixing it. And so, again, the idea is that we go out and we're going to purchase 400, 500, 800 of these plastic ball marks, and we're going to make them available with the carts, or with the cart master can hand them out. But ideally, what we do first off is we would try to put a little note that would slide underneath by the cards, and so people could see it and say, please repair your ball marks. But we're going to go through a lot there, and it's also a big hassle for the people working on the carts. So maybe we could do 200, 300 initial push, and then we would just have another 200 or 300 at the starter station that people can get for free. The problem in the pro shop right now, it's $12 to buy a tool. So there's a lot of people that have tools right now, but the fact is, you can just see on the greens that people aren't using them. So just trying to bring it to their attention, and it's not going to be that expensive for us. We can probably get these for between 25 and 50 cents a piece with the Highlands on there. So it will be attractive. It won't break immediately when they give it away. Hopefully it's not a maintenance item that the cart staff have to worry about. It should be pretty low maintenance. So again, my proposal is that the golf group here allows the Friends of Highlands to buy 500 to 800 of these ball marks, or ball mark repair tools, and that we distribute them through the cart master people. Any questions or comments?
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I think the Friends of Highlands is an amazing group. And they do so much for not only that golf course, but just overall golf in Bella Vista. I don't see an issue here. The only issue I guess you might say is the POA pushing back because they're not going to maybe sell as many ball markers. And that might be a merchandise thing. But I think if we can promote people fixing ball marks, I'm all for it.
I'm going to jump in, and I've already visited with Leslie Terry, and we've done this before. 7 years ago, when Mr. Chuck Ritter was here, we did a lot of this before, and Leslie and I were just talking. We will help you buy them, design them, get them at the cheapest cost. We don't want to make money on it if it helps it. and she's all for it. So the support from us, but I would like to just quickly go back to the first picture on the first hole. So for the 3 weeks, I've been going around following groups and following guests, following everybody. And this is the biggest thing that we see. If you have a look at this picture right here, and I noticed this on Sunday, I was following a group of 9-holers, and I was watching it. So a lot of them were elderly, and they're not hitting long shots in. So they're hitting little knockdown pitching wedges from 50, 60 yards into the green. And this happens on one. Look at these little marks. The ball lands. Where's the pin at? Their balls roll all the way over here. They come on, they putt, and they walk off. I witnessed it. I've got video if anybody wants to see it. But right there that is not a tear up. Now, if I hit a shot in on that hole, I'm coming in from a lot higher, a lot further. I rip the green up, it's going to stop right there. People don't understand that little pitch marks do as much damage as the big ones. The big ones, they stick out, and you'll fix it quickly. But it's those little ones, Clay, and I'm glad you showed that picture. I saw it earlier. I'm like, perfect. That's what I want to talk about. So, got to walk around the green. Just because your ball finishes back towards the back of the green where the pin's located and landed on, you've done the damage early in the green. Go fix it. But we are full support, and I know Keith is. I'm speaking for you, but we'll help you out whatever you want to do if it's approved by this committee.
Last year we put a little YouTube video out at Dogwood on how to do it on number 18. I think we could do that again because show the correct way on top of that. It's not hard, doesn't take long. We could do one on one of the holes there to promote it at each one if that's what we wanted to do going down the road, because when you watch a lot of tour players repair ball marks, their number one goal is to get it level, which is first, but that doesn't heal it though. So we're going to kind of try to help out by showing the correct way to do it too would be our goal, and we'd be happy to try to help any way we can on that.
Could I make a suggestion? That we do something about educating with that kind of picture? That, you know what? If you land in the front of the green and your ball ends up way back there, you need to walk the path of your ball so you can repair your ball mark.
Did anybody play in the Superintendent Revenge 2 years ago that remember at Dogwood? Because what we did on number 18 is we put a T everywhere there was a whole unrepaired ball marker, and you couldn't putt.
Yeah.
So, to your point, a picture of that on the front would demonstrate that this is where they
Excellent.
are. So that's a possibility.
Great
that we can
idea.
work on.
So, Darrell, would the POA be willing to help all the courses, all the groups that want to do this program, other than just the Highlands?
Yes. Yeah, if you're afraid of Dogwoods, if they reach out to me, hopefully they're watching. We're willing to help Leslie's text. We're willing to look into it and help. It's your vote. It goes to you and this committee as bringing it, and we'll go from it and we'll support it.
I have a question.
Go
Just
ahead.
for clarification, all you're asking is that, would the committee have an issue with Friends of Highland providing these? Is that correct?
Specifically for Highlands, yes.
For Highlands, yes.
Yep, that's all I'm asking.
But the people are going to take their ball mark to other courses, and it's going to float all over. And I think that's a real positive, is that it will not be just the Friends of the Highlands or the Highlands course that gets fixed. I think people will start. And I think eventually they're going to say, oh, I like this tool. However, I see another one in the pro shop, and they're going to end up buying other ones from the pro shop as well. But I think it's a win-win all the way around. I don't see a downside. Does anybody see a downside?
No. But you're proposing to have the starter hand them out, or are you just going to put them in the carts? Or have you figured out which way you want to?
So, still need to work with Alex and his team.
Yeah, that's something we'll probably just figure out the best way when we get them in hand. We'll talk about it and we'll figure out, all right, let's come up with the best idea on how to hand these out and to who to hand these out to. So.
And Mark, with that, we'll get Keith's video, because he did it last year and was a great video, Mr. YouTube man right here. And he got up showing how to fix it and everything, and we'll put some pictures with that, and we'll put it on the golf update, so we'll tie that in with the launch of these, and we'll get rolling.
That just made me think of something real briefly. What about, you got the Highlands logo on it. On the backside, put a QR code that links to that video. So if you don't know how to fix a divot, here's a quick tutorial.
If they will stay on there, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Or what we'll do is we'll attach a piece of paper with a QR code on it so they can lock it up.
Or, instead of doing courses, do POA.
I think it needs to represent Highlands, since they're the ones putting it out.
I agree. If Friends of Highlands are doing it,
Yeah,
they
it
should
needs
say
to
Highlands on
represent
it.
And it
Friends of
might
Highlands.
encourage Friends of Dogwood or
Absolutely.
Friends of
Scottsdale
Scottsdale or
or
anybody else
yeah.
to say, hey, that's a great idea, let's do it here too.
That's the one thing that we have to figure out, because there is no one at this golf course, a group that does this kind of work, and there isn't one at Kingswood either, or the 9 holes at Burkesdale. So we have to be able to get them in the loop somehow. Because Dogwood has done a lot of what you're doing in the past, Divot Day, one day, and a lot of that work, and they do good too, and it's a great help for us. We try to help any way we can, but we have a couple golf courses that don't have anybody that we'll have to figure out how to logistically do that internally, I think.
I have a thought on that. Let's treat this as a pilot program, and if you see a marked improvement on it, then move forward to try to promote it at other courses. And I think you could probably have help getting a little funding on it if you can articulate that, yes, it did help.
Well, I'd like to propose that we vote yes on this with coordination with Leslie to make it all work, and I will put that proproposal forward here
I'll
for a vote.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other further discussion? Anybody see any negative? We've all got positive, and we think it's a super program, but I want to make sure that nobody sees anything that's negative. And I'm not a negative person, so it's kind of hard to ask for that. Okay, ask for a vote, so we have it on record. All those in favor of the idea? So unanimous. We thank you very much, Clay, and the entire group. Okay, any other new business? If not, the announcements, our next regular meeting is Wednesday, October 12th, here in the boardroom at 4 o'clock, and we stand adjourned. I just asked you, Gary, if we had any other business. What? Okay, go ahead.
I just want to know that we had the volunteers for the course rating people from the Highlands that have volunteered. Sorry.
You got it.
I just want to mention that we had a course rating training session here last week with volunteers from Highlands, actually from the POA golfers that wanted to become a course rater for the state. And we started out with 12. We now are down to about 5 or 6 that want to go forward. And so we had additional training. And a few of us are going to go down and do a course down in by Little Rock here later in October. So we're adding course raters from Bella Vista to the State Golf Association.
Okay, thank you. Any others? If not, we stand adjourned.